CEO Change of Mind Q&A session here in UCD. This afternoon we're going to be looking at the area of business. So I'm joined by Orla McGorty, who is the International Student Coordinator, and Ayrton, who is a final year student with us. And we're going to take you through all the commerce courses that we have on offer here in UCD and answer any of the questions that you have. So make sure if you do have any questions to add them into the comment section below. So Orla, I might start with you. Why would a student consider studying business in UCD?
There's lots of different reasons why students might want to come here to study business. Firstly, we're one of the oldest commerce courses in the country, so we have that longevity behind us to give that history and that weight of learning. Secondly, we're very high rankings when it comes to international business schools. So that doesn't necessarily mean a lot to students coming in to study at undergraduate level in university in Ireland, because rankings aren't something that are really publicised. However, if you go to do graduate study, when you go to do look for jobs overseas, the fact that we have what's called a triple crown of accreditation. So we have rankings from a European organisation, Equus, rankings from an American organisation, and rankings from SEMS, which is an International Alliance of Business Schools. We're very well recognised, which means that your degree will travel globally and will be well recognised globally. So it's like a mark of quality, a better explanation. So it shows that we have very high standards of education and learning in the College of Business and in the programmes that we deliver here to students.
And in terms of the subjects that are offered, could you maybe give us a quick overview?
In the business courses. So within the College of Business, we have different disciplinary areas. So we have accountancy, management, marketing, HR, management information systems. We do some work around innovation, entrepreneurship, and we would have a wealth of research from our academic staff in those areas as well. So if you're interested in any of those business areas, then this is a really good place to study, because you get a flavour of all of them through the business subjects that we offer. So across the programme, so for example in commerce, which is a general business degree, you get a touch of all of them, you know, from accounting, banking and finance, HR, management. You get all of them in the first couple of years, and then you can focus more when you get to final year on an area that interests you or that you intend to work in or do further study in Commerce International. So you have business, so again you get all the business areas, plus you have language. In economics and finance, it is a lot of economics, lots of finance, maths, statistics, econometrics. And then in business and law, again, you get that balance of business subjects and law. So there's a broad reach of subjects. We'd have lots of choices within that. There's lots of flexibility within the courses and course choices. So there's something for everyone.
And Ayrton, in terms of the course you picked, it was Commerce International. Could you maybe explain why you decided to pick that?
I suppose one of the major reasons was that it was such a general degree. I suppose coming out of Leaving Cert, I still don't really know what I want to do. And the Commerce International course gave a lot of choice. Having a minor qualification in a language, which I think is noteworthy, that like you're coming out with more than just the ability to use a language practically. You're coming out with a minor in whatever language you choose is really beneficial, because like I could do teaching, end up in teaching, which is one option I've looked at. And then the other thing is just, I didn't want to specify what kind of area I want to go into leaving St. Eunan's College. So the way the cores work in first year and second year, that you're kind of exposed to every subject area and discipline, was really beneficial. Like you find out what you like and equally what you don't like, and that's equally important, because I don't think business studies and economics often does justice to what it is at third level. So it's good to kind of see and experience what the actual field is. The other side of it is that the internship program and the study abroad was, I had to make a decision there between like the internship and then, because obviously with commerce you have the optional Quinn internship program, and in Commerce International it's the mandatory year abroad. But I think in the grand scheme of things, a year abroad gave me, in hindsight, a serious amount of learning that I could never have done in either an internship, and that was a contributing factor to why I chose it, and it has definitely reaffirmed that it was the right decision.
And you went away to France this year?
Yes, I spent a year in Nantes in France, at a Dancia business school.
Like going abroad?
It was challenging. Like I think I had in my head that it was going to be like a year-long holiday, but it was definitely studying abroad. The Erasmus program, I think, and the exchange program, it definitely is what you make out of it. But I think that's university in general. If you put very little into it, you'll get very little out of it. But if you put all your effort and your interest into it, you will get so much out of it. And I certainly did. It was challenging, but Quinn is challenging. But at the same time, you learn nothing if you're in your comfort zone. And I think that's what I really like about Quinn. And that's what I really liked about the year abroad in France. And seeing the different style of teaching in French business schools compared to what we have here. Initially, I was like, this is awful, and Quinn is so much better, and I want to come home, and why isn't it like UCD where it's structured, and I have my modules, and it's semesterized, I know exactly what my timetable is next August, and stuff like that. But as time went on, I became a lot more able to cope with ambiguous things. So the soft skills I've learned, I think, are the main benefit for the Erasmus program, and the year in France. And that's, again, something that with the triple accreditation that Orla spoke about, the partners we have in Quinn are fantastic. Like, they are the best business schools in the world. And that's another thing you mightn't have when I was looking, that other colleges couldn't offer at the time. So,
looking back on your year abroad, do you have any advice for students who are maybe looking at Commerce International, but they're kind of slightly hesitant or slightly scared of that element of being abroad?
Yeah, I think, again, one of the good things about Commerce International in particular is that you can start off with 2 languages. So for me, I chose Italian and French. I actually changed it during change of mind to Italian and French. Before that, it was Chinese and French. And to start off with 2 languages, it actually is really beneficial because it gives you 1 semester to just kind of find yourself. You're not committing to anything initially, and you can talk to older students. You have your peer mentor who will be going off to this country. You will also have the final years who are just back, and you're exposed to all this experience, and then you can actually decide whether, French is for me, living in France for a year, or even if you find that languages aren't for you, the global business route is a good option, because often it is the language that's scary, I think, and the language barrier, as much as living in another country. So I think definitely the flexibility the Quinn offers alleviates a lot of those worries just through the design of the program and the structure of the program itself. But just in terms of general advice is for me anyway, when you're looking at 1 semester abroad, I don't think it would have been enough. And I think that's another real benefit of the Become International is the 2 semesters abroad, the full year abroad. Like, if I came back in January, I would literally have about a quarter of the learning that I did. Like, you're just about settling in, and that's what I'd say. Really consider the length of any Erasmus program that you're looking into, and genuinely, it's challenging. It's really scary, but it is so incredibly beneficial, and you're exposed to so much that you just wouldn't even be in UCD. Like, we're a very global international camp. Like, coming from Donegal to Dublin, it got very international, but then as an international student in France, it's like 10 times even more international, and that is just an incredible experience. So,
and Orla, with your hat of international student coordinator, could you explain kind of what the global aspect of Quinn is like for, say, students who are applying through the Leaving Cert?
Yeah, so we have about 2,000 students here in the Undergraduate School of Business, but we have 50 different nationalities, including Irish students. And then even within our Irish student population, we have representation from 31 of the 32 counties within this country. So we have a very diverse background. So we have students from Donegal, and we have students from Mongolia, and we have students from France, and we have students from Canada. So, you know, we have students from all over the world. So that makes for very interesting conversations in classroom, very interesting conversations out of classroom, lots of different cultural backgrounds, lots of different languages. So all that experience feeds into both classroom activity and also outside extracurricular activity. So on campus here in UCD, we've, you know, lots of student societies, lots of student clubs, and we have students from all over the world. So there's about 8,000 international students in UCD generally. So that's a lot of languages and backgrounds and cultures to get to know about, to learn about, to exchange information on, to network, so that when you leave university that you have all that experience to fall back on. Because business today isn't about usually sitting in an office and just working with the person next to you. You might be working with someone online who's based in Mumbai. You could be working with someone who's based in Australia. You could be working with someone who's based in Africa. So you need to be able to understand and find ways to communicate across cultures and across languages and across different locations, and that's how business is changing and going towards. So that's what we're trying to train our students for. So that's what we're working towards here. And we also have a very multicultural teaching faculty. So we've lots of different nationalities within our teaching staff as well. So students get exposed to lots of diversity and language and culture and background and experience, which feeds into everything they're doing. Yeah.
And another area where students get an awful lot of experience is through the internship programs that Ayrton mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Could you maybe explain a bit more about those?
Yeah, so the internship program is open to students on the commerce program and the economics and finance program. So those two programs are 3 years in length normally, but if you take an internship, then you extend your program by a year. So it becomes a 4-year program. So Commerce International is already 4 years, as is Business and Law. So within Commerce International, you have the year away on exchange in the host country, or in Commerce and Economics and Finance, then you can choose to apply for the internship. So we have an internship team here. We have an internship manager, so we work very closely with companies to work to develop internship opportunities for our students. So students go out and work in a company for 9 to 12 months. We also have a sponsored internship that the school sponsor in a startup company, which is starting this year, or also in an NGO or not-for-profit organisation. So the school sponsors those two, but generally then we have companies that would employ students for 9 to 12 months. So they go in and they work on, could be anything and everything. So we have companies who are all the top accountancy firms, but then we have smaller companies, we have marketing roles, we have management type roles, we have consultancy type roles, data analytics projects, placements in finance and banking, locations, you know. So there's a very broad, diverse range of options for students to choose from. So students get a lot of support around it. They get to come in and meet the companies, find out more about the roles before they apply. And then it's a competitive application process. So if they're successful in being selected by the company, then they take that year between second year and final year to go out and work. So it can be useful for students where you think you're interested in an area, but you're not really sure if you want to work in it. So go out and experience it. Or you're not really sure what you want to do, so you apply for a role and then you see what it's like to work in a company and how business can be applied in a practical sense in a business environment. So often we have students who go out with a very fixed idea of what they want, and then they come back and they completely change direction in final year when they're choosing their subjects, or it works in the opposite way. So students don't really know what they want and they come back very focused on a particular area. So it's really useful from that point of view.
And Ayrton, in terms of the way you're taught here in the Quinn School, could you maybe explain what your kind of typical week is like?
The typical week is a mixture of lectures, seminars, small classroom settings, obviously your own independent learning in the library or the study rooms we have here in Quinn. In addition to group work, Quinn, compare even to friends across the university, Quinn would have a lot of group work as part of its assessment. And again, it's a challenge. Group work is a challenge, especially coming from Leaving Cert, where it's very autonomous. Like, I don't think group work is mentioned in any of the syllabuses, to be honest, from my memory. But so it is a challenge. But again, the skills you learn, and again, the learning from the internationals that are in your group is fantastic, because they just bring a total other perspective to that. So that's one form of learning and assessment. And the actual group work can be anything from a presentation to a group assignment. It varies. Then of course you have like the very traditional academic research and essay writing, and that in itself is really interesting if you can find a topic you're really interested in. And I actually found that through the Horizon elective program in a completely different school in social justice. But it's weird how you can do that, and then it mixes into your business experience, because I did it in gender and development, which actually feeds back into like diversity in the workplace. And it was just, that in itself is interesting. And you have all these academic papers which you can read, and you have academics in the university who you can consult and talk to. And so again, that's another form. The lectures, again, they're, depending on your style of learning, they can be very beneficial. I am very kinesthetic in how I learn, so they're not as beneficial. But again, your lectures are very open, and when you tell them that and you go down and interact and ask questions, they're fantastic. And then the seminars kick in, which kind of build on from the lecture. So it's a very different format and structure from secondary school. Your lectures can have anything from between, I suppose, 100 to 500 students in it, especially in first year and second year with the core modules like accounting, like financial accounting 1, which I think is core to every business program. And then the seminars would be about 50-ish. And then just the mixture of all that, I think, is really beneficial in itself. So again, for me, the lectures aren't that beneficial, but mixed with everything else, I think that's where you have the really positive outcomes. And in the same way, lectures are really beneficial for some of my friends, whereas the seminars, it's just everyone learns differently. And I think universities, and particularly Quinn, with a very different set of approaches with group work and essays, presentations, there's something for everyone in a way. And it's all those different types of things that gives you the outcome that Quinn is, I suppose, famous for, and that I came here for, in terms of business education.
And in terms of, say, life outside the classroom, Orla mentioned it earlier about like societies and clubs. Mm-hmm. What did you get involved with while you were here?
I got involved in quite a lot, actually. In week 2, there's it's called Freshers Week. There's just a tent with all the societies. I think we have about 70 to 80 societies here in the university, and about 30 sports clubs ish in and around.
I think there's about 60 sports clubs.
60.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah. Evidently, I'm not sporty. But yeah, so you go into a big tent and you register for kind of all of them, and you have great intentions in week 2 to get involved in every single society you have something of an interest in. But then as the weeks go on, it kind of distills, your interest distill into, for me it was actually the Students' Union. I got really involved in like student politics and representation, and being involved in campus and being exposed to quite a lot. And again, it depends. That was just my interest, and that's kind of an important note, that no matter what your interests are, and they might be very varied and very unique, there's something in UCD for you. And for me, that was the SU, and getting involved and getting to know my class and getting involved in Quinn and everything, to be honest. I think I was involved in pretty much everything on campus for a while. And I think just the vast choice is fantastic. And just comparing it to like Audencia Business School, like Audencia is fantastic, but what I do notice, it's a smaller school, and coming back and thinking about the time in university, I think it's really fantastic the fact that we are Quinn Business School, but within the wider university campus, there's so many different ideas, perspectives, from across the world, from across the country, with different, and like one of my best friends is from the School of Psychology. And that doesn't really happen if you just go to like a business school. And yeah, you can just learn so much just in those kind of informal settings. And it's more so through societies or the SU or sports that you get to meet these people. And again, there are so many They're all on the website. If we start to list them, it would be problematic, but here all day. Exactly.
And Orla, in terms of the facilities here in the Quinn School, it's going to be kind of an exciting year come September.
Yes.
Could you explain kind of the new extension?
So we're opening the Moore Centre for Business, which is, we're doubling in size actually. So if anyone has already been here to the Quinn School on an open evening or something like that, it'll actually be twice the size. But what's exciting about the new space is that it's going to be all student space. So there's no offices in there. There's one big lecture theatre for 320 seater, and then we have 3 new kind of flexible learning classrooms. But all the rest of the space is kind of flexible student breakout space, project space, study space, quiet spaces, louder spaces, lots of comfortable seating, and lots of places for students to work on group projects, assignments, interactions, different things that we expect you to do inside and outside the classroom. So there's lots of different things there that we would encourage students to make use of. So huddle hubs and, project rooms and lots of technology and digital collaboration suites and media suites and all sorts of things that are going to be great fun.
And in terms of entry requirements, we got a lot of questions before we went live around, say, the maths entry requirements for the courses, and a lot of students are slightly daunted by the level of maths you need for the course.
Okay.
What would you say to those students?
I would think, yes, there is a minimum entry requirement for maths. It's slightly higher for economics and finance because that's a very quantitative program and you need it. You also need it in commerce. So when people think of commerce or commerce international or business and law, you don't necessarily think of maths, but actually you need it for things like finance, for statistics, for any kind of, economics, any kind of quantitative subject like that. But what I would say is don't worry about it. There's lots of support available. We have a maths support centre on campus, which is there to help students. So you can go and get free one-to-one support if you're having difficulties with a particular aspect. Ayrton, you might have used it in your time, I don't know. We also there's lots of tutorials. So every subject will have a lecture and a smaller group session. So tutorials are there again where you break down into smaller groups. So that will help you understand the detail of what you're learning in lectures. So if you miss it in a lecture, it's okay, you can do it in the tutorial. And then also there's lots of tutors available. There's lots of online material available as well that is provided by the School of Maths when they deliver the modules. So there's lots of opportunity for students to go back over things, to ask questions, to figure out what is the thing I'm having trouble with and get help around it. So what I would say is don't be daunted by it. You need the minimum entry requirement, but there's lots of support available if you feel you're struggling.
And my final question for this session, I might throw it out to the two of you. What is your advice for students who are looking at their change of mind and they're thinking about putting a business subject in Quinn down? What's your advice for them?
My advice would be you should always fill in your form in order of preference, not in order of what you think you're going to get. Okay, because every year we have queries from parents and students where they really wanted to do one of our programs, but they didn't put it down first because they didn't think they were going to get the points, and then they did get the points, but it's way down the list. So put things down in order of preference, because if you don't get it, it'll go to your next choice anyway. But put it down in order of preference would be my advice.
I definitely agree with that, because again, sometimes the marking and sometimes the grades can be unpredictable. So I would not advise adjusting depending on how you think you did in the Leaving Cert. I think I would really disadvise that completely, actually, and just kind of go with your gut more than anything. I think the Change of Mind offers a really good opportunity to look back on the actual content of the programs, because it's a really stressful year, and sometimes you do kind of glaze over the course curriculum because you have so much else. You have your mocks at the same time and this, that, and the other. So look at the detail of the programs. So for example, Commerce International, it is a minor in a language, which does come with literature and culture. It's not just the practical use of the French language or whatever language you choose. And for some, that's off-putting, but it's available online. If you research properly, you'll know. And that's what I mean by follow your gut. If you do the proper research, you'll just know inherently what feels right. And yeah, at this point in time, I just follow your gut and don't be what you think is pragmatic and put yourself down, because I think if something I've learned coming back from France is that Irish people have a tendency to put themselves down a lot. So you probably did a lot better than you think you did with regard to the leaving cert. So yeah, that's my advice.
And also just one other thing, and also sorry, just if students don't make the points, there are other entry routes into commerce in particular. So there's entry routes through the QQI FETAC route, or what I think it's called QQI FET now, and then there's also entry routes through level 6 and level 7 qualifications from IT colleges, where there are, obviously you have to take certain subjects and things like that, but there are other entry routes, so don't despair if you don't get it.
I think that's a nice point to end at. So I'd like to thank Orla and Ayrton for joining me. And don't forget that the CEO Change of Mind helpline here in UCD is open all week. So if you do have any questions over the next couple of days, message us on Facebook or call the phone line and we can answer your questions. So thanks very much for joining us today.